Hey, it's me, Angela. Here I am on day 3, I think it is, day 3 of my whole Euro trip, which is also day 3 in Amsterdam. So let me talk a little bit about day 2 and 3, and I'm going to try to chunk it up accordingly. So let's start with room accommodation. So if you haven't seen it yet, in the first video of me being in Amsterdam, I show what my room looks like. The room is very narrow, but what I will say is the bed and the bedding, very comfortable, very cozy. So once I do go to sleep, it's been very nice. As far as warmth, that's not been a problem necessarily, but the heating element is really only in the main room area, so the bathroom can get quite cool in the morning. So what I've been doing is showering with the door open, which is fine because then also you have the steam from the shower. But I've also just been leaving it just a crack open, about that wide, throughout the evening. So it's not ice cold when I go take a shower in the morning, because I am a morning showerer. Okay, so that's great. The hotel I'm staying in is wonderful. They have a nice little lounge area downstairs that I did some reading in last night, and place for like coffee or tea. So let's segue into food then. I try to write a little list so I keep on track. So food. The coffee here is fabulous. And even like instant machine coffee is very good here. So I would say a black coffee here is somewhat comparable to the espresso we have in the United States. And I say this because, but it's not bitter. It's not really that bitter. It's smooth and creamy. And you get like a nice foam on it, not like tall foam, but like this layer of creamy foam. It's fabulous. So I've had black coffee, I've had it with sugar, I've had it with cream, I've had a cappuccino, I've had hot chocolate, I've had tea, tried all of the things, all equally delicious and smooth. And I feel like I get that caffeine kick way sooner. And I don't necessarily crash. So even if the locals here think that the instant machine coffee is not that great, it's still better quality than what we would consider instant in the States. So there's that. I can't say that I have been in a sit-down restaurant. So I haven't sat down and ate anywhere. I have been doing a lot of on the go, mostly because I can't say I've been getting hungry when I think I will. And honestly, I haven't really been eating that much now that I think about it. So just to give you an idea of some of the meals I've had, I decided that I was going to scope out like a grocery store and just buy a few groceries and kind of do that so I could have something whenever. And well, I don't have a fridge in my room, so that limited what I could get. But the first night I got some chips and some chocolate and a couple other things, just kind of snacky things. And I went and got some like food. It's not quite street food, but that was really good. Then day 2 in the morning, I got coffee and a cheese croissant, or a Kaz croissant. I think Kaz is cheese. There we go. I'm learning some words. Kaz is cheese. So I ate that on the go because I had a walking tour to go to. So I did that, and then I had a coffee during the walking tour, and I didn't really eat anything until I was on the way back to my room later in the day, in which I stopped at a grocery store and I got a salad, which was very fresh, and it had like your typical greens, some red pepper, small penne pre-cooked pasta in there, an egg that was sliced up, yogurt dressing, and chicken chopped up. and it was massive. Like, it was like this tall. Yeah, it could have fed 2 people, but I was pretty hungry at the time. And I didn't know how, like, squished in there it was. And then I had gotten, like, a tray of mixed fruit. So it had pineapple, apple, grape, and mango chunks in there. And then I had found pints, not little, bowls or, little containers, like pints, like ice cream, of chocolate mousse. And it was under $2. So I got that huge serving of stuff for less than $9. I was very full. And it was very good. I was actually dipping the fruit in the chocolate mousse. And then I've noticed on the packaging, there's a scale of nutrition, like A to F. So obviously the chocolate mousse was not an A, but I don't care. So it was really good. Let's see. I decided to forego breakfast this morning because I got a very late start. Late for me, probably late for this area. I think it was like 10:30 before I left my room. I wasn't in a rush to go anywhere. I was like, I'm just gonna knock out a couple of places today and call it quits early, like earlier than I have been, because I have the ballet to go to later this evening. So then hunger hunger hit. Okay, like 1 p.m. here, and I'm 7 hours ahead of home. So that was a little while ago. I don't have my, not looking. Anyways, that was a few hours ago. And I've been having a really hard time finding actual Dutch food. And that's because, well, people make their own Dutch food. They don't go out to eat it. So what I found out on my walking tour is that there is a huge Asian culture here. So there's a Chinatown, but really it's more like Asia Town. And Indonesian is really big here because of the original trading that happened with the Dutch trading company. So that's a whole other historical aspect. There might be multiple videos now. So I've just been kind of getting a lay of the land and scoping out certain names that I can look for when I get hungry. And I do advise doing that you kind of favorite a few places if you know where you're going to go for the day, because some things can be very expensive if you don't realize it, either because you're in a really hip area or touristy area, or prices are not posted, which is not a good sign, is what I have learned, not from my own experience, but just from vlogs and stuff. If the prices aren't posted, probably don't eat there, because as soon as you speak English, you're probably getting a different price than the locals. Just gonna say that. I've been getting away with not spending too much money every day on food, but my most expensive meal so far was today, and that was because I was in a hip area and it was a little Italian sandwich shop. So no, it wasn't Dutch food, but that's okay. It was delicious. So it was called the Toscana sandwich, and it was on focaccia bread, which is round and flat, so think flat bread, cut in half. And then there was prosciutto and fresh mozzarella, eggplant, and pesto. I got about 2/3 of the way into the sandwich and decided the eggplant wasn't totally what I wanted to eat, so I just took the sandwich in half and just ate the half that had the cheese and the prosciutto on it. Nothing wrong with that. I was also getting really full. Also, I'm sure this is pretty common in a lot of Europe. I experienced this in Germany when I was here several years ago. but there are two kinds of water. So when you ask for a bottle of water, it's still like no gas or gas, carbonated. So I've been just getting either or. I don't really have a preference. I'm used to carbonated, so sometimes I want some bubbly. I have not actually drank a Coke here yet. That's kind of my plan, to grab one later tonight. So I couldn't tell you. I love Coca-Cola, so I couldn't really tell you what the big differences is in flavor yet. So I've been eating relatively clean aside from the chocolate and the chocolate mousse, but not that much. I've been staying pretty full even with all of the walking that I've been doing, so that's pretty phenomenal. And as far as water goes, you can drink the tap water. It's clean, it's very delicious actually. And I know that there are water fountains around the city, but I don't know what they look like or what I'm looking for until yesterday when I was on my walking tour and the tour guide just fills his water bottle, but I haven't been able to really like scope out where these little things are because they kind of just look like a metal pole, to be honest. So I've been buying more bottles of water than I intended to, but hopefully as I go along I get a little better about that. I also found there is some site that you can go on line and search where like public water fountains are around Europe. So but it's not like a bottle of water costs an arm and a leg. It's just sometimes inconvenience. I'm not really drinking as much water as I should. I tend to like really drink a lot as soon as I get back to my room. So there's that. So I don't have a lot of details on food aside from I was very surprised by Indonesian food being huge here and Asian food in general. There's a whole Asian town, lots of different food there of different Asian cultures and areas, and a lot of it has to do with the trade that happened during the Golden Age. And so I guess Netherlanders really enjoy Asian food. And there's actually a lot of Mexican food too, so that's kind of surprising, although you have a lot of people from Spain and Italy that come up here, and there's a lot of Italian places too. But it's like Spaniards, not so much Mexican, so I was a little surprised by the Mexican food. There's food. Let's talk a little bit about transportation, and then I'm probably going to do another video on history because that's a whole other thing. And trying to make these a little shorter. So transportation, let me just go, let's start with traffic. Okay, there are cars, yes, there are buses, there are trams, but what you actually need to watch out for are bikes. I knew that there were going to be a lot of bikes. I didn't realize they were going to be coming around the corner in hordes. Okay, like everybody has a bike. It's expensive to have a vehicle. There are not that many parking spots. I haven't even seen a single fuel station, and I know a lot of the vehicles are electric, but even for them being electric, I have not seen that many like places to charge them, because you don't run the cords like into your homes or anything. There's like little stations, and it's expensive to park anywhere in the central area, which is pretty normal for any city center, but even so, I'm getting better at like figuring out where I'm going and what certain things mean. So I found out like strat or straw, I still don't say it correctly, is street. So if you had like Washington Street, which I don't think there is one, but if it was Washington Street, it would be Washington Straat, and it's all like one word. So like Leidersplein is Leiders Square. So plain is square, and that's one of the stops that I'm used to now. Overtoom is another one I'm used to. What was Grat or Grat is ditch. And then centrum is center. Again, I'm probably not saying these correctly. But I'm having a better idea of what leads where. So certain streets saying things, they're going to lead to the square, they're going to lead to the center, which are slightly different. Again, not an expert. This is just what I've gathered walking around. And I probably walked around more than I planned on, but that's not a bad thing. What I can say is utilizing public transportation is pretty simple. I've pretty much just stuck to the tram, but you've got to be quick. So you don't just like give them money, but you can buy a card on the first tram you're on. But generally you're only on for a few stops if you're really staying in the central area. So it's better to like go to a little kiosk or something and buy one. And you've got to be ready. You have to have it in your hand because you have to scan as soon as you come on and you have to scan as soon as you come off. So I've definitely been able to scope out people that haven't figured that out yet because they're like fumbling around looking for the card. That was me, of course, the first couple of stops. Today I experienced a group of Americans on a tram, and I didn't realize how loud Americans are and vulgar, because this was a group of young ladies not acting very ladylike, to be honest. You could just see everybody else watching them. So people are not very loud here, which is fine with me being by myself. I've been speaking quieter and people still hear me really well. So I haven't really talked that much, but I've talked with a few people, so it's not like I'm just in complete silence all the time. So yeah, we are kind of loud. But you've got to be ready. So what happened to this group was 2 of them got stuck on the tram because they didn't have their cards ready and they had to wait till the next stop to get off. And the transportation here is not, like, it does not run late, it runs on time. So the thing about the traffic here is you have a street, but it's not just a street. If you pay attention, you look at it, there is very clearly cars go one way and then the other, especially on canals, because usually they go one way on one side of the canal and one way on the other side of the canal. And then there's lanes for bikes outside of that, and then where people walk. And then in the middle of the street, you can see all the like tram tracks. I thought that I would probably rent a bike and ride around for a day. Decided not to do that after the first day. And then especially like walking around yesterday, because you have to pay super duper attention to what you're doing and where you're going, because you're between where people are walking and people are driving and the trams, and then you have to pay attention to like tram tracks so that you don't like run into the track and like get stuck. So I decided not to do that. If you're walking, you really have to pay attention. So what I can tell you is you've got to have your head on a swivel, but not for the reasons that you think. It's actually very, very, very safe here. I have not felt unsafe at all. But I also haven't been wandering around questionable areas or at night, actually, because I've just been pooped. And most of the things that I want to see are closed anyways. So when you come to an intersection, where in the United States we are used to the intersection, like for people to walk, is actually further. So where we think we should be walking is actually where the bikes are crossing. And then there's like a series of walking lights. So you might be used to one signal telling you it's okay to walk. There's like 3. And that's like, yeah, it's very interesting. So you just have to always be watching, because there could be a bike zooming by, a car, And the cars are very small. I saw one truck today I was like, oh, this is weird. There's also like little motorbikes that are completely enclosed, so they look like little singular cars. And the little teeny tiny cars, they park like, I don't even know. It's like a little square in there. So most cars park parallel in a lot of places in residential areas and stuff, to the canal, but the little teeny tiny cars can actually like back into that little spot and it not be sticking out. So yeah, I would not want to drive here either. And there's actually quite a bit of car traffic, but not nearly as much as bikes. And there are so many places to put your bikes, but they are literally everywhere. So I would say if you're going to come to Amsterdam, please don't walk and text or navigate. Like, pull off to the side, take a look, and keep walking. It's pretty simple to get to where you're going. Even if you get a little lost, it's pretty easy to get back around to where you need to go. Yeah, and there's a few reasons. The bikes, make sure that you're crossing, be mindful of that. And people get really peeved off if you're walking where you're not really supposed to be, because pedestrians don't have the right of way. That was very clear. And then just be mindful. Like, be brave, but be mindful. So just pay attention. Also, the streets and where you're walking are not even. You are going to trip at least once. Maybe not full on trip on the ground, but you're going to have a misstep at least once, whether it be in a building or it be on the street. So it's just better to like be watching where you're going, to be honest, because it could be questionable. And actually on my way back to my room, I saw a couple of older American ladies, and the one American lady's been here multiple times, and the friend had only been, this was her first day. She like yanked her out of the bike lane because she was just gonna walk across thinking that was just no biggie. Yeah, near death. Anyways, so that's a little bit about food, accommodations, transportation. I am gonna do a separate video about history. So hopefully you learned a little bit about this, but definitely the historical one is going to be like more the facts and the meat of what I've been learning and what I've been doing. So anyways, hope you enjoy and stick around for the next video. All right, bye-bye.